Welcome to the Harjit Prayer Show with your host, Harjit Prayer.
Hey man, Prayer.
What's up, Harjit? How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Cool.
Hey, it's almost the weekend, another day.
I'm excited, but I'm
Yeah.
on call.
Oh, you're
So
back
I'm
on
on.
call?
Yeah, because I swapped a week with one of my coworkers because I'm taking a couple days off in a few weeks, which
Okay.
happens to be on my on call, and so they were willing to switch with me, which was very nice. And so I am on call starting at today I started at 5. So of course I'm like, yo, phone. Am I gonna get any sleep? It's okay,
I know, right? Yeah. Me
but
too. Like sometimes when I'm on call and I'm like staying up later and later and later, and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm on call. I better go to bed because I know I'm
yep,
gonna get woken up in the middle of the night, you know?
absolutely.
Yeah. So what
But
else
it's
you?
cool, like, most of the things just run. And, we're only handling the Microsoft Core stuff. So there's another group for the infrastructure, another group for hypervisor, another group for storage,
Oh, that's cool.
and stuff. So it's only, this subset of all of technology that I'm on call for, which is good.
Okay.
So we'll see how
Mine
it
is
goes.
anything and everything for the Windows
Yep.
side.
Hmm.
So, and other than, if there's anything for exchange and stuff, I don't handle that stuff. So then I
Okay.
either page the exchange guys or text them or whatever and say, hey, here's an issue with it, and, that kind of a thing. But
Yep.
everything else, I mean, like we got SharePoint, we got, you know,
Yep.
all sorts of things. Yeah.
The one thing that perplexes me is like, all right, am I going to be doing something that will put my ability to respond to an emergency at at risk? For example, I was not on call, but we went to this park in Gainesville called Sweetwater Reserve, which is
Oh,
really cool. It's this basically um, it's it's part of this thing called Payne's Prairie, and it's just a reserve that you can walk through, and there's very different wildlife compared to what we were used to in New York. We saw a very large alligator sunning itself on the bank, and as I'm walking along the water, I'm like, if there's one alligator there, there could be one looking at me right now.
oh
So
yeah.
I'm gonna I'm gonna walk away from this thing. Saw all these birds that I'd never seen before.
Oh wow.
Snake went across the trail. I'm like,
No
oh,
way.
yeah, we were pretty far away, but still, when I saw it, I freaked. And
Uh,
yeah, so it was really neat. But we're in the middle of this thing, and I'm like, what do I do if I was on call and we get the MiFis and all that stuff, but my car is like, now it's like could be a 45-minute walk back. Like,
right.
what would I do in this situation? So of course I probably would say if it was an emergency, I would call one of my coworkers and say, "Hey, I'm in this situation. Can you take a look until I can get to the car?" Of course, I'd have the laptop and MiFi in the car, and I have to say that because I found out that there's a whole bunch of people from UF that watch this,
Oh really?
um, including some of the higher ups. So hello.
Hey.
I forgot to tell you, we need to behave ourselves now and be very
Oh, okay,
serious.
okay. I'll be
No, but seriously,
nice.
like all this is one of the things you can't do is like you need to be within an hour's drive of the
Right.
university,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it's just common sense. If something went really down, and you needed to be on campus or at the other data center, like you need to be within a good, decent driving distance.
Right.
But like I said, everything is architected pretty well, and
Yeah, I think we talked about this
so,
before, and where we have regular pages too, but we use Ops Genie as our paging mechanism
yep.
that connects to SCOM, and SCOM lets Ops Genie know, and Ops Genie will send us. And and you can. It's really cool because you can go in and set hey, my first alert comes through Ops Genie as through the app. And if you don't acknowledge it after whatever amount of time you say, send me a text. And if that still doesn't, you still don't acknowledge it, and then call my phone, or things like
Cool.
that. So you can set all these different criterias So, but what's nice about it is that you can actually act an alert and then go react to it, instead of trying to, like you said, rush back and do your call.
Right.
So we
Mhm.
had a we ha we have a colleague, and he's on the Unix side, and I think it was a couple of years ago, whatever. And he's a rock climber and stuff, and he was on call and he was doing rock climbing,
No
and
way.
he got paged, and he's like, oh, so he had to come back down
Oh my
and
gosh,
then
that's crazy.
walk. I can't remember how far, right, to get to his car, and then drive to go take care of this whatever issue it
Oh
was.
my
So
gosh, that's
yeah,
crazy.
so yeah, things
That's
happen.
funny. Yeah, our we have an operations group, and that you get a call from a human, um, and so of course, me, because I'm all new to this, I wear a CPAP at night, and so when
Yeah,
I'm
me
out, I
too.
am like out.
Yeah,
But because of this, like I like think I'm hearing the phone go off, and so I keep
yeah,
waking up at night. And I like was looking at my Fitbit stats on the week that I was on call, and it was like 2 hours because I was in and out of sleep and stuff. It was pretty
right.
funny, but I don't know,
Well, so what I
everybody.
do, so my phone is always on silent mode. And when it's next to my bed, but I never hear anything. It doesn't do anything. So this is why I like that actual little pager, which I stick under my pillow, and
Hmm.
that vibrates. So if I miss the first page, the second page, it pages my little pager, and that vibrates, and it's under my pillow with my CPAP. I can still like ooh, you know. So
See,
it
I don't
kept.
know if that would work for me because I like the vibration. Like, I don't know if I would pick that up or not. So it's something I'm gonna have to experiment
You
with.
have to
We'll see.
try,
We'll
yeah,
figure
you
it
have to
out.
try. But I figured out the right way to do it because if you did the beeps and then it wakes up your family, your spouse, things like that. So I'm able
Yep.
to, acknowledge the stuff, and I look at the alerts. I pull up my phone. I'm like, okay, stop the alert. What is it? Okay, now get up and take care of it. So just
Got
the
it.
other day when I was on call, and I got one alert was running out of space on this one Exchange management server and stuff. I'm like, okay. And then it just kept going and kept going. And then finally I got up, and I think I spent like an hour. It was like three something in the morning. I'm sitting there, groggy eyes, trying to figure out because it was so out of space that you get that temporary profile thing.
Okay. Oh no! Wow, that's crazy.
So I'm like trying to like, oh my god, where do I find space? And what's eating up? And looked at logs and all that stuff. And yeah,
Yep. Oh man. Oh man. That's scary.
yeah, it took me a while, and then
Yeah.
finally got it all, and whatever.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's on call stuff. That's
Yep. But yeah, you got to do your job.
yeah.
So I'm.
So for us, the our major on call conundrums, it's usually Patch Tuesday weeks. That's when we,
Okay.
especially on Thursday, Thursday night or Wednesday night, Thursday morning. That's when our patches go out to our servers, and we got maintenance window. So
Okay.
we now with SCOM 2016, you can set downtimes for your
Right.
servers, right?
Hmm.
They doesn't always work. Sometimes there's some, but you'll have some servers, right, where they kind of reboot, but they're in that limbo state where you got to give it another nudge or whatever, and right, you've seen that sometimes where it's not finished installing, and
Absolutely.
but
Yep.
then it's you know yeah. So that's our Patch Tuesday weeks are the heaviest one that keeps us up, and
That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah. So.
So what else?
Um,
What do you have you learned anything new this week and stuff?
yeah, and so I learned a lot about version control systems
Ah,
this week. I had to basically use Git to be able to deploy some things to Nagios
okay.
because if you're trying to monitor lots and lots of stuff in Nagios, to use the GUI is kind of a hassle.
It's tedious.
And then if
Okay.
you have different groups using it, you don't want to be overriding things that they did by accident and things like that. So we have routines written in PowerShell that basically some custom PowerShell stuff that one of the guys in our group wrote that will basically create the Nagios config, but all the config is stored in Git in a, I don't know if it's Git or if you would call it a version control system. So that is it's in a common repository, and so I had to pull it down, make some changes, make sure everything looked good, pull it back up, and then do it again on our test Nagios
Okay.
box, make sure that it looked okay, and then have it promoted to production. And so I did everything in Linux, including all the PowerShell stuff. So
Oh,
that
wow.
was that was like a huge that was very different, and so I had Bash going on Windows, which was awesome. But I didn't realize that a few very what I think were core things are not installed in Bash. For example, the make tools to compile the different things you're working on, you have to install that with apt, and then also the Python tools are not installed, so you got to bring that down and make sure that's in your Bash environment. Otherwise, the stuff that we have
Okay.
wasn't working, and so it took a while for me to figure that out.
Oh,
One
that's so
morning,
cool, man.
and so but now that I see it, I'm like, holy cow, this is so incredibly useful, and what a awesome way just to maintain a good repository of information, and also like a backup. If something goes wrong, you have all these changes recorded.
Oh, yeah.
You have the production stuff, so you can bring up the new server, get that config in there,
And you can
and
fork
away you
stuff
go.
out, right?
Yep. So if two people can
Right.
be working on the same thing, then they have to manage to merge what you need to merge and stuff like that. But in the Windows, there is version control systems for like Windows using a GUI. Visual Studio Team Services, I think, is one of them, which we also use for some stuff. But coming from a pure systems administrator standpoint, like you never use this stuff. You just, in the book that Don Jones wrote with, I forgot the other guy's name, PowerShell in a Month of Lunches.
Yeah.
PowerShell it's PowerShell commands. You're just using commands, and you might string a bunch of stuff together, and then you can call that, and you can call it a script, but it's not coding, so you're not using all this version control stuff. But this was like a whole nother level for me to be actually on the command line, and doing the work that I needed to do. But now that I know it once, it's going to save me
That's so
hours
awesome.
and hours and hours of config. Yeah. So that's just the beauty of automating all your stuff, and putting it in a way that, I think a lot of sysadmins are very protective of the way they do things, and so they don't want to share. This forces you to share your process, make all the information available to others in your group, and so if somebody else can do the work, and a lot of sysadmins just have that attitude, like, oh no, it's mine, and they feel like it's job protection.
I think
But
sometimes it's about not being sure of yourself too. So you're like, you put it out there, you're like, I don't know if this crap, if I'm like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, for me, that's how I feel. Like, it may work for what I need to do, but it's not really written really, logically or well.
Yep.
So sometimes like, so it's not about, for me, it's not about the sharing. I share like tremendous amount of stuff, but it's just, yeah. But so I've been, I manage, I'm one of two people that manage, our print servers, and we got a few of them, and hundreds of print servers, hundred of print queues, right?
Okay.
And things like that. And, the good thing is that we've, at the early stages, we decided to segment them out. So this print server handles HP printers, this one handles
Good.
all others, this one handles Konicas, and so on and so forth. And so I remember I had a big project where we had, I think, server 2003 print servers, and had to migrate to, 2012, and not 2008. Yeah, 2008 or 2012. And
Hmm.
so I had to do the migrations and stuff, but then had to maintain the same print names and print server names so that it doesn't break the printers from, the end
Got
users
it.
and stuff like that. So that was a little process. But recently we've been having some issues with um, Kyocera printers where if you're, if you install the latest driver of a printer in your print server, but then the firmware is old and has not
Hmm.
been updated, and then it just crashes. And sometimes it'll take down your print server and things like that. And so the key is that you need to get the firmware as new as possible, but
Okay.
it works with older versions of drivers or the new driver. That's fine. So we work with an outside vendor who does all the installations and stuff like that, but we handle the back end of it. So I've been using a little bit of PowerShell to try to okay, how many printers do I have, and what type of print drivers do I have? What are the versions of it and stuff? So that was pretty cool,
Yeah.
you know.
Dude, like I hated managing printers when I worked for the school district.
Yeah.
And because, the whole deal was so the last OS I worked on at the school was Windows 7 and then 2008 R2. And so we went up from like Windows 2000 server and with Windows 98 clients and NT4 clients all the way up. The with each generation. And of course, when you have a print queue on a Windows 2003 server and you have Windows 7 clients out there, those drivers are going to act really bizarre. And so
Mhm.
you have to bring up a 2008 R2 server with the Windows 7 driver pack. But if that Windows 7 machine was 64-bit, you
Oh,
needed,
yes, yes,
and it was like,
yes.
holy cow. And so,
You have to have
I,
the 32 and the 64, yeah.
yep. And so we only had like 1,000 computers, and a couple hundred printers out. Wait, am I right? Yeah, we had a good chunk of printers, maybe like 100, and so they were spread across two print servers. And finally, like after a couple of years, I was like, that's it. Like we're gonna run the same operating system across the entire district every summer. We'll upgrade to whatever the current thing is because this is insane. Like and the other thing is like if you can't buy the same printer, if you're just buying the same thing and all of a
Yeah.
sudden a new one comes out and they don't have the drivers for the old, what do you do? It got better in the end because Xerox and Lexmark started producing the universal
Oh, yeah.
driver sets, and
Yeah.
I always made sure that if someone was buying a printer, it was a certain model and it had to be PostScript, which helped alleviate. But holy, it was like insane, like trying to because before we took control, there was HP printers, there was Xerox phasers,
Oh,
there was
yeah.
Xerox. It was insane, and so
Sevens and yeah. Yeah, all sorts of things. But so speaking of printers, one of the issues that I'm discovering almost on a daily basis is print queue jams on the print server that's caused by PDF files that are printed from a browser. So
interesting.
if an end user has a PDF file, they open it up, by default it opens up in either Edge or whatever, right?
Hmm.
And then they're like, oh, it looks like a PDF reader, just like they don't know any difference, and then they go in and print, and it jams the print queue. So then other people are trying to print, and then now you get a crap load of print jobs, and they're wondering why, and they're trying to delete it from their end and stuff like that. It doesn't work, and they're contacting me and it's like, can you clear the print queue? I'm like, sure. Well, the only way I can clear a print queue is that I have to stop the service, then go into the spool folder, right? See
Hmm.
Windows, System 32 and stuff like that. Delete all that stuff in there because,
Oh my gosh!
and then
Wow.
start the print queue again, and then everything's back working. I was like, what the heck? So this became so tedious. It was like almost a daily affair. So I started off with I created a little batch file, So now I'll just run this batch file. It does everything.
Right.
Stop the print queue, delete that stuff, starts the print queue, and now I'm trying to, not to say I've started, getting it into PowerShell now and stuff like that, but I'm trying to figure out like what it is about PDF files that's jamming the print queues and
In a web browser.
in a web browser. But if they
Because
open up in Adobe Reader, and then print from there, it's fine.
that's so weird.
And I've even been told that if you print like an image file, a JPEG or something from your default photo viewer, whatever application that comes up in Windows 10, that too actually jams up. So
That's so bizarre. I
Yeah.
hate printers, dude. I can't stand it. I can't stand that I had to buy a printer for our home for the first time, just 2 years ago. I'm like, I cannot believe I'm doing this.
I know.
But the daughter wanted to print out things and color them, and so can't say no to that.
Yeah, my kids were using it a lot for school, like when they're doing projects and stuff, and then they burn through the ink so fast. I'm like, what? And now when you're buying printers, they come with all these different colors.
Yep.
And then if one of those colors is empty, the damn thing doesn't work. It's one of those like,
We've been pretty good. We don't because we weren't printing because we didn't have a printer. We didn't print a lot. Cool with that. But that wasn't gonna work with the color things and stuff like that. So maybe next time. There's some cheap lasers out there. I'm gonna have to take a look at them. Color lasers, I should say.
Yeah.
But speaking of printing, you and I love taking pictures and stuff. And we've talked about in the past some of the services we use to get pictures printed. Just recently, I found out back over the summer, Amazon has a photo print service.
Oh.
Yeah, and they don't really advertise it. I have no idea why. Maybe because it's so stupid cheap, but it's just photos. I think it's photos.amazon.com or something like. Let me look it up right now. But it was like, it took a while to get, which is kind of unusual, being that it's Amazon. Like it took a week for them to do everything. But I mean, it was like really high quality stuff. I can't find it. I don't remember what it was. Amazon.com photos, maybe. There we go. Yep, Amazon.com/photos.
/photos, okay.
And yeah, it was. I was really surprised at how awesome these
I've been
prints
using
came out.
Costco when I need to print.
Okay.
And they're pretty cheap too, and pretty fast. So I can send a job in the morning and then pick it up in the afternoon, and really cheap.
Cool.
You can get them enlarged and all that fun stuff, and even like holiday cards and stuff like that. And before that, I used to use a service called DotPhoto.com, DotPhoto.com, and also they were pretty cheap too. And I'll send them, maybe like several hundred, and then you get these packages and things like that. Yeah.
Yep. I was using a local place, but I wasn't happy with the way that things are working out. Mainly because I still take pictures on film, and they were like just messing everything up, and I'm like, I know that picture was good. Like I know.
Yeah, right.
And on the negative, everything looks fine. You can scan them in now and see like, oh, well, how come the picture doesn't look like that? Like just smudges, and like they just basically, I think they print them out. They don't really develop them.
Okay.
But before that, I was using something called Snapfish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that was awesome. They sent you envelopes. You put the film in there. You send it. You get an email saying I received them. They have been developed. Here's what they look like, and then you get the pictures in the mail if you order them, which was awesome. But they stopped doing that. So I'm looking for something around here that will develop film, and I got the feeling that that's not going to happen.
Okay.
So
well, there's another company called I think it's ScanCafe.com. And they were one of the first ones where you could, send them a bunch of your negatives and stuff, right? Like, we got all these negatives sitting in boxes and stuff. Either send them that or your old VCR tapes and or your camcorder tapes and stuff like that. They'll send you a box and you just put it all in, ship it out to them, and then
Sweet.
they scan all that stuff like from your negatives and they digitize it for you. Then they send all your stuff back, but now you got a digital copy of all your pictures and things like that. You have an archive and now it's not that expensive either. So ScanCafe.com.
Yeah, I'm checking it out now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um,
So I've used them before too. So and
Cool.
that's something I gotta find some time and then try to send more stuff and because I've got some really really old stuff in albums and things like that. And it's like, what happens there's a flood? Or what happens is you know, right?
Yep.
And you know you kind of lose that stuff. But this way it's all out in the cloud and you can just get them whenever. And at one time I used to use Flickr just to store
Yes.
my pictures so that I have a backup of it. You know.
hmm
Flickr Pro and stuff, and I should just make albums and albums and albums and things like that.
Yeah, I remember
Um,
that.
for
Cool.
my professional photography, I use SmugMug,
Okay.
smugmug.com, and that's where I can create all these different galleries and stuff, and then so I can password protect them and then share it with some people
Okay.
and they can go download it and things like that. And I can also set up like a shop, right? So I can set prices to it, like 4x6, maybe $1 or something, and 5x7 and things like that. So when I was doing a lot of events in the community, like schools and whatnot, so that's what I would do. I would just upload them. I have basic prices, not very expensive. I hardly make anything on it. But this way people can go, they can pick and choose the pictures of their kids or sports or whatever and
hmm
order the sizes they want. I get notified of it and then I can say, yep, approve, oh, by the way, yeah, crop this because this doesn't look proper. And SmugMug uses a third-party photo printing thing, and they actually will ship out the photos directly to the customer without
That's
even
cool.
you dealing with it. Yeah.
Nice. So it's like a nice back office thing
Yeah.
for your photo business. That like you basically outsource it. You don't have to take care of all
I
that. That's
outsource
cool.
it so they deal with all the shipping, they do all the packaging and everything like that. So
Yep.
and yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. A lot of people are like, well, why on earth are you like printing your pictures, or why are you still taking pictures in film? And I'm like, because I can hold it.
Yeah.
And someone can say, what's this photo album? And like nobody grabs I'm not going to grab your phone while I'm at your house and say, oh, let me see your pictures.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Yeah.
That's like, but you talk over pictures and stuff like that, and that's lost
I
nowadays.
totally agree with you.
So
As much as I do, as much as I like digital photography, it's so easy, it's quick, and all that fun stuff. But you're missing that piece where you're able to hold it and put it in albums and then have something to look at and share. And now, in the past when I used to do film like you, I would have double copies, right?
Yep.
I'll say, make double copies of it. And then that way, if your kids want one of the extra copies, they can have it or whatever, and you still have one album that's full. And now you can. Now I'm taking all the pictures and they never see it because I
Yeah.
got it all on my
Yeah.
phone and I got it
hmm
all on my digital camera and I'm storing it in my own little cloud thing and they never look at it. They never see it.
Exactly.
It's pretty sad,
Yeah, so that's why I like printing the pictures. That's why I like taking pictures
Yeah.
in film, but I can't get it developed anywhere, so I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah, you got to send it out, I think.
Yeah, I'll
But
find it.
listen, try Costco. If you have a Costco near you,
I don't think we do. I haven't seen one, but I'll have to see. Maybe
yeah,
there's one that's
they do
drivable.
film. They do film. I know they do.
Okay,
And yeah, I think you
cool.
can do it online too, because that's how I do it.
Oh,
I send it online, and you might be able to. Yeah.
sweet. Well, I
So
got some tech news we can talk about.
sure.
So I really like reading through the English TechNet blogs. I don't understand the Japanese and German stuff, so sorry. But there's a cool one that came out about how to visualize your data using Power BI, and that's
Ooh.
not a product I use like every day or once a week or once a month. But reading through it, I was like, wow, that's really neat how simple it is to use. So that might be useful for people that are trying to like make graphs and present some of the data and analyze, not analyze, but take some of the log data that they've compiled into hits and stuff like that and kind of make
Okay.
it more interesting and stuff. So that's there. And let's see. The other thing I had was, System Center 1801 was just, everybody probably knows that that's been out for a couple days.
No,
I don't know.
1802 you're talking about.
I think so.
The tech
But
preview?
I think I'm talking about 1801. It's been out. That's not new news. But there's a whole bunch of integration packs that came out for it. I don't know if they work with 1802, but what's interesting is there's an integration pack for HP ILO and OA, which is kind of neat. And then there's also an integration pack for vSphere, which has been around forever. And of course, there's a few others. So I just sent you the link that you can put in the show notes.
Excellent. Yeah.
And finally, just yesterday, there was a post for employers on free Azure training for employees. Of course, you don't have to have your boss tell you how to get this stuff. We're gonna link it for you, but it is some basic stuff that you don't have to pay for, that you can just get your feet wet into Azure. And the best parts, I think, is the hands-on labs.
Okay.
That's like outstanding material. Not just Azure, but a whole.
So can you
bunch.
use your own Microsoft account for this training, or do you have to use your organization's account?
No, you can use your own
Okay.
Hotmail account if you want to.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yep. And finally, there was a new version of MAP released. MAP is a solutions accelerator.
Okay.
It's Microsoft Assessment and Planning. And basically, what it does is you configure it to essentially scan your network and all your systems, and it'll basically give you some nice canned reports on upgradability, reports on not really usage, but rather like the snapshot of like what the system looks like, almost like an inventory, but a little bit deeper than that. So from there, if you don't have a tool like Config Manager or some other third-party inventory tool, you can kind of use that to gauge, okay, these are the systems I have that are upgradable to operating system X. It even does some stuff for Mac and Linux.
So I gotta check it out. I haven't played with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the solutions accelerators that come from Microsoft are pretty sweet. I've used them.
Excellent.
Quite a bit.
I'm starting to get my little feet a little wet here with Power BI. My daughter actually is very keen on Power BI, and she uses it up in Montreal for her work and stuff like that. So I asked her the other day, I said, "Hey, can you help me out with this?"
Cool.
So I'm trying to, so at the same time I'm trying to learn from her and looking at other resources too, and just to see what I can do with data, and especially for my social media stuff that I do, right, with all the analytics and stuff like that. And if I could make a nice dashboard with the hits and the the tweets and things like that, that would be really awesome.
Yep. I've only used the free one, but I'd love to get hands-on to the thing that people pay, because I hear you can do some crazy, like I hear people bringing their Exchange logs into it and slicing up data and having it present different ways. I'm like, that's freaking crazy. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Make it
that is
available.
Pretty crazy, yeah. But Microsoft's
yeah.
awesome, dude. They're doing a lot of amazing stuff lately with, this analytics and Config Manager and SCOM, and oh my God, it's like it's like coming down with like 100 fire hoses, just like full blown.
There's a lot, and and that's not even covering the AI.
No,
stuff.
exactly. Yeah. So, but that's when we have to like step back and try to learn and still do our day jobs and still do everything else, and but that's what keeps us going. So
yep.
Yeah.
My rule is 1 hour a day
Mm-hmm.
to learn something that you don't already know.
Yeah.
And that not at work. This is
Right.
at your home, after the kids are in bed,
Yeah.
after you've hung out with your wife and stuff like that, spending 1 hour learning something new. I don't know
I
how anybody, with the way at the pace that things are moving, I don't see how any other way to kind of, you have to spend extra time. And it's like, oh, but don't give me the excuse like, well, that's work you're doing for your employer that
It's
they're
not
not paying you
actually.
for.
No.
It's not. You are. This is learning.
Yeah.
When I have a friend who is a boiler maker, and every couple of years he has to go through a bunch of training to understand some of the new tools that are out there to help do his job more efficiently.
Yeah.
Some of even the automation that, like, instead of having to do the same kind of weld 50 times, there's this tool that can do it. And so how to manage that kind of tool and stuff like that. He's like, I didn't realize, going into this business, I would have to know how to use a computer to do welding.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Like, that's crazy, and that's his own time
Right.
to keep doing the job that he
I
wants.
do that every night, and this is why I go to bed really late, and because I get sucked into some of those things, and when like you said, when the kids are in bed, the wife's in bed, and and I've got the TV a little muted down a little bit, and that's when I start poking around and start, like, bits and pieces here. Oh, this is, what was the news again today I heard? Okay, let me go look into that and
Yep.
read up here and maybe try some trial products and stuff like that, and yeah, I pretty much do that every day, and I even do things on my own for, like, my social media stuff, trying to find different tools and different, oh, so Facebook just changed these things now, and not that anybody else would pay attention to, but it actually affects how I do my things.
Got it.
So it's like, oh, now you know the notifications are changed, or the settings and groups have changed, and they added new features, and so
Gotcha.
things like that. So you gotta really, really keep up with everything that's important for you, and
Exactly.
yeah. Um, so I used to, I tell my younger daughter, we talk about, on a during a dinner time, and about the world issues and what's happening, the today's news kind of a thing, and right, and we've been hearing a lot about stuff going on this week and stuff, but it's like, and sometimes it'll be like a surprise to her and stuff, and what's fascinating is that uh, you know kids like her will spend all the time, all day long with their phones,
Hmm.
but yet they don't know the important things that is so available with the phones, right? If they make use of it. So I when I was a little kid, I would come back from school, and I used to mimic my dad, because my dad used to love reading newspapers. And he'll
That's
read it
cool.
from front to back, even the financial side, and sports and everything. And so I got into a habit where I would come back from school, I'm having my lunch and sitting down, and I'll start reading. And that's how I learned about, the different countries and different news from all over the place. And then I started dabbling in the financial stuff, and what are these stock thingies, and hey, Dad, what does this mean? And and so it just got ingrained in me, like, since very young, that news is important and information is important.
Right.
Any kind of information, right?
Hmm.
So,
Cool.
and now it's so
I've been,
easy. We have it at our
yeah,
disposal.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I have been very disappointed in mass media as of late, though.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother episode. I'm not
That's
even going
another
to start.
episode. We should make a show on that.
I will lose my mind. So if you want to tune into that one, we'll
Yeah.
just call it Prayer
Well,
Loses His Mind on News. But yeah, anyway.
all right. CNN Prayer.
Don't believe anything they're saying. Don't believe anything they're saying.
No. Anyways, man, this has been a good show. So,
I hope so.
yeah. And so, anyways, my latest news is that I'm heading to the MVP Summit in about a week's time.
Sweet.
And I'll get to mingle with a bunch of great people, and it'll be a good opportunity to meet up with friends from all over the world and stuff, and check out some things at Microsoft Land, and you know, I won't be able to share stuff because I think it's going to be all of it is going to be NDA, maybe
NDA,
just
right?
yeah.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, it'll be
Cool.
fun. I think we have an excursion to the Microsoft Store and stuff like that too. So that'll be cool, and
Sweet.
I might get you a sticker or something.
Keep the sticker, dude. Get me a sticker. Get me a Surface.
A pen. I can get you a
I like
Surface pen.
I like pens.
Uh, so,
I should show you next time. I will show you my pen bag.
oh yeah,
I take pens very seriously.
oh yeah,
I'm not even kidding you.
oh
So
I'm
yeah.
sure, I'm sure.
Anyway,
So you know what would be cool if we did a show while I'm there.
okay,
So
that's fine with me.
I'll find a spot somewhere, and we could probably record a show and get it out. So that'll be pretty cool.
Sweet. That would be
Maybe
very
with a
cool.
Microsoft sign in the back or something.
Do they have internet access out there?
I'm sure. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I'm sure. So hopefully I'll run into Rick and Joey and stuff, and we got a bunch of crew folks out there, and
Right.
Michael Bender's going to be there, so that'll be cool.
Nice.
And yeah, I think
Yeah,
we
it
got a little
sounds
crew thing going on Sunday, so a little get together at some brewery up there, so that'll be fun.
cool.
So,
Very cool.
anyways, so until next time, you'll find me on Twitter. I am at Hooge, Hoorge.
And hey, I'm Prayer, and you can find me on Twitter sometimes at IT Prayer.
All right, cheers, folks.
See ya.
Bork, bork, bork.